Coach will get us started, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Good, yeah, good to be with you guys. Obviously, excited to come off a good start to the season for us, and hope to build on that this week. The biggest thing is, as I said in my post-game remarks, this is the first game's the first game. It gives way to the second game. We have Alcorn State. This is a team that's coming off a disappointing start to their season. We know how that is. Coach Thomas is going to have them ready to play. And it's a defense that knows how to disrupt the ball, that also plays in a manner that keeps you from the explosive. So we're going to have to find our ways to generate the yards and the points. Offensively, they have skilled players. They're playmakers at quarterback. They played 3 in the first game. All 3 can make things happen with their arm and their feet. With the way we performed against Virginia Tech defensively, we have to do a better job guarding against explosive plays, and when you play against mobile quarterbacks that can extend plays, you leave yourself exposed to that. So we'll have our work cut out for us that way. Thought the team had a focused start to the prep, and excited to get to another Saturday in First Bank Stadium. With that, I'm happy to open up with questions.
Clark, Colby Taylor and Corday Sidnor not on the depth chart. What's up with them?
Corday is week to week with an ankle, so we just don't see him being available this weekend. With respect to Colby, that's really an internal matter, personal to Colby and to our team. And so I want to leave it at just he's not available to play this week. And as there's clarity we go further in this, we'll communicate more. But right now, that's an internal matter to us, and we'll just leave it at that.
Big win. What does that do for your program, for recruiting, for NIL, for just good feelings, all those things?
Yeah, I mean it's all positive. There are a lot of people. I think it's very easy to to have a chip on your shoulder at Vanderbilt. I mean, and I certainly have a big one. And I think that's a good thing. In fact, I've always kind of lived that way, and most of our team is that way too. But there are a lot of people that are cheering for this program, and that live and work in support of our program. And so the first thing is to feel the joy of that community was special, and is special. The excitement, I think, they're hopeful that this continues a momentum build, and that's what we're working hard to do. The discipline it takes to shift from a performance that, to be honest with you, could have been a lot cleaner, but it gave us a result that we have long looked for. The discipline to shift focus from that to the next opponent and to continue on our climb. That's what's important for us right now. But certainly, we celebrate the good start. I think, in terms of recruits, and certainly you hope NIL, and just again people seeing the progress and getting excited about the progress. That's always going to be good, and it validates a lot of the work and the investment that we put in, and so many have put into the program to this point. But we've got to keep it going. So again, we can't stop at one game. It's got to be more, and that's what we're pushing for.
What are you guys doing, or what's the school doing, whoever's in charge of it, to maybe take that excitement, promote the program, and specifically to get more of your fans in the stands? Do you know of any specific efforts that are being made?
Chris, I don't, and I don't think uncommon. I mean, I am kind of sheltered in my bunker right now, especially taking on the defensive coordinator role. There's not a lot of time where I'm strategizing big picture that way. That's Candace and her team are handling that. Again, I made mention of the student support on Saturday. That was very meaningful to me as a former student and alum myself. I'd like to find a way to make sure that any student that wants to come has a spot. And again, I celebrate the fact that they were there the whole time and they enjoyed what they saw. That was really neat. And what we're going to do is continue to work hard here internally to put something on the field that inspires people to show up. But the vision for this program is not, playing in front of a stadium that, 50% of the fans are for the other team. It still makes for a great environment, but the vision for the program is that this is a sellout with Vanderbilt fans, and we have a sea of black and gold. And I think the construction projects that are ongoing are going to give way to a really neat environment that will be special for us here at Vanderbilt. So we'll keep climbing and keep building, and we'll have that vision actualized. That'll happen. Certainly, Candace and her team they're working hard to continue to push and to reach out into our community to get more people there.
Clark, you've spoken before on, saying that you support mandatory injury reports. Now that the SEC has kind of implemented that system for conference games, how do you feel about the implementation of that system?
Well, I think it's just. I'm in support of it. I think some of the gamesmanship it can be silly at times. I think you also, in a world where there's just so much more in terms of gambling and insider information and just different things that your program is exposed to, that I think divulging the information protects you from that. And to me, we have a next man up mentality. There's no one player that's more important than any others, and not that there can't be strategy and knowing which quarterback's playing or whatever, but I'd much rather protect the integrity of the game and, again, protect the integrity of our team than engage in that gamesmanship. So I'm all for it, and I think it's great.
How did you evaluate Cedric Alexander Saturday?
I thought he had a really nice game. I think he made some critical runs for us. He's a very talented running back. And my favorite part of the game for our running back group was how physically they played in all phases, right? And protection on the touchdown catch that Quincy makes in the corner, said he sawed in half a linebacker on a blitz. The number of times that from the sideline I saw them chip protecting the edges, that was a talented defensive front. And, they were physical. All those are body blows that accumulate over a 4-quarter game. And then on top of that, the runs that he was able to break and tackles he was able to slip out of. I think he hurdled somebody again. He's just scratching the surface, I believe, of what he's capable of. But certainly he was an important part of our offensive identity on Saturday, and I'm excited for him to continue on that way.
What did Diego do to become a leader so quickly in this program, and how would you describe his leadership style?
Very authentic. He has he has a quiet confidence about him. He's also, he doesn't mind speaking up for himself either. I think we all appreciate that about Diego, but, he's a proven winner who has a track record of success going back to high school. He's got a really sound process, so the guys see him investing day in, day out. I think he's very wise. Like when you talk to him, he's focused on the right things. And I enjoy my interactions with him that way. He cares about people. Here's someone who opens his house up to his teammates. Creates bonds through sharing spaces and time and camaraderie, and he's very relatable to the guys. So those are all factors. He was around in the springtime, obviously wasn't participating in practice, but the team really got to know him then. And that gave way to summer where he was actually training alongside him. And I believe just no different than the strength and conditioning program and what Coach Steiner's done. Bonds are formed best when you're in the fire. And I think he displayed leadership and toughness and the ability to communicate clearly this summer when those guys were grinding through workouts that made an impact on his teammates, and then he did it during fall camp too. And I've seen responses to him on a team level that I've not seen in our leadership to this point in my time here. Those guys really respond to him. And he's not a guy that speaks all the time. He speaks with his actions. He's so super consistent, compassionate, again, cares for people. And, I think on Saturday they were ready and willing to follow him, and they did. And so certainly a guy that's having a tremendous impact for us, and a guy that I have a ton of respect for and want to continue to see have success.
What are you looking to learn from this weekend's matchup?
Well, we have a lot to clean up on our end, and so for me, it's about what is our ability to focus on us, on our process. I think the build up to game one is always. I mean, we've been talking about game one since the wintertime. I can remember sitting in this room talking to the team in January about the Virginia Tech game. And once you get there, obviously there's a ton of excitement and emotion involved in that, and then the game's over and you turn the page. And so it's this ability to reset, refocus that we're going to have to carry with us week by week here from now to the end of the season if we want to have a good year. And so how do we focus on us? How do we improve in our process? How do we take our focus and execution to another level? How do we take our operation to another level? The ball was on the ground too many times on Saturday. I want us to clean up our game, because in the end, this is about winning, and for us to win at a high level, we have to evolve into the best possible team we can become. And hopefully, week one is the worst we play. Hopefully we're disciplined enough and mature enough to grow each week. That's the challenge, and that's what I'm looking for them to display in our preparation.
I know you wanted your defense to be one that was swarming and active and physical and leaving a mark on people. Felt like maybe we saw more of that in the opener than we did last year. Is that a fair way to say it?
I think we represented ourselves well. When you look at the game, again, that first half was really that is the image of what I've wanted this program to be. For 3 years, going on 4 now, we were complementary. We had long possession on offense. We kicked a field goal. We scored a touchdown there right at the start of the second quarter. We forced a turnover. We limited exposure from their offense. We chewed up clock and delivered body punches with our offense. It was a beautiful thing. I thought in the second quarter, obviously, we did a nice job. There were a couple of things for us to clean up on conversion downs that have to do with execution. You have to also credit Virginia Tech. That's a talented offense. So they're gonna get their plays, but to finish out at 17-3, and I called the timeout there to try to see if we could mount a drive to score once more going into half. Obviously, I left us in doing that exposed to a return possession. I was really proud of how the defense, generated sacks and ended the half. I thought we had great momentum going into halftime. When you look at the third quarter, we had our opportunities and we didn't execute. And some of that is, my fault, or my responsibility, maybe to put the guys in a better call, to give them a better chance. Sometimes when you're absorbing yards, just they're finding the soft spaces in the defense, and that is what it is. You got to be patient, rally, and tackle. The plays that really stood out to me in that third quarter, fourth quarter were the explosives. And within that run, we forced a field goal. We generated a stop. It wasn't all bad, but when you look back, the possession that started for them, I believe on the -3, when we have a team pinned like that, we need to make it really hard on them. And they complete a flat route right out the gate that gets them kind of out of harm's way. And, that possession gives way to the long touchdown pass, which we busted a coverage. And that's where, better performance for us. Again, go back to what your question was, or your comment about the identity of our defense and how we want it to look and feel and play. you know, part of that is forcing a team to go the long, hard way. So we need to be top down. We need to be in position. I want to be a smart team too. And so I was pleased with how physical we were, especially inside out. I thought, you know, against a physical run game, you know, we did a really nice job inside, forcing them to the perimeter. I thought at times maybe a little inconsistent, but at times we were physical on the perimeter too. Too often we were out of position in the secondary and took on some big plays. The good news is those are things that are within our control that we can clean up. And again, I credit Virginia Tech. I mean, that's a good offense and a good coaching staff. And, you know, what I told the defense is you're never going to play a perfect game. I think one reason we were able to fight and win that game was because of how we played. Now we got to clean up what we're playing, and that's how you become elite. And we have a chance to do that. So that's what we're going to attempt to do.
Coach, how are you guys handling all the national attention this week? I know you talked about, you know, focusing on the week ahead, but the National Cheez-It Team of the Week, Pavia, SEC Offensive Player of the Week, how are you kind of emphasizing just staying the course to your guys?
Well, I've got about 30 boxes of Cheez-Its out there in the lobby, so I got to figure out how I'm going to eat all of them. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I celebrate any shine that is out there for us. I mean, these kids work so hard to have success, and I want them to feel the feeling of being celebrated for that success. They know, and I was very clear to them this morning, and will continue to be clear to them, that everything that we want is out in front of us. You know, not a one of them signed up for, you know, one win. You know, this is a journey. And we've been very deliberate about talking about it that way. And said this after the game, and we were one or two plays away from having a really disappointing start, at which point, you know, we're having totally different conversations right now. So some of that is just the nature of the world, and it can be fickle at times. But we're gonna appreciate and enjoy being on the right side of that right now, and yet internally we have our focus on continuing our climb. But these guys deserve the attention, and I want them to have the attention. And what I want is to have a program that is so successful that this becomes our normal. And what a better time to start to understand what it means to have more attention on you and being able to stay disciplined and have boundaries in your preparation. This is a great time to do that, so we're going to do it.
Anything else?
One question on Pavia.
Yeah.
26 rushes this week, kind of, you know, took a little bit of a beating. How are you working on keeping him fresh the entire season, because it's a long one?
Well, I don't, you know, it is. And we have not here in my time, you know, played with just one quarterback. So you know, we have to be smart in some respects, but you're not putting a leash on him. You know, I mean, he's going to play the game the way he knows how to play the game, and that's why we love him. That's what we want him to do. That's what his teammates want him to do. So I think he's geared up to go for more, and you know, we want him to play a style that's reflective of the program that we're building, and that's what he did Saturday. I'm sure that's what he'll do again this weekend and every weekend moving forward. And you know, in the meantime, you know, we got a room of guys that competed for that starting job, that prepared themselves to play, that need to be ready to step in if something were to happen to him. And I trust in those guys, and Coach Beck and Coach Altman, they'll be ready.
One last question. On Corday and Colby being out, who do you expect to kind of step up this weekend and going forward?
Well, we have I mean, listen, you know, for us internally, you know, the two guys that stood out with their defensive performance, and Corday played very well, but Linus Zonk and Zaylen Wood were two that, for us, kind of were up for the Player of the Game awards. Both those guys are gonna be, you know, critical to Saturday's success and success moving forward. And same at corner. I mean, Colby was not available the entire game on Saturday, and so you talk about, you know, Martell and Tyson and Trudell and those guys. I mean, we have a good group of corners, and you know, Jalen Lackey's a guy that is preparing to play and have a role, and so we'll be excited for him. And then, you know, there's others too. I mean, Tucker Wright's a guy that's worked really hard to position himself to have a a chance to help us win. So he'll be ready as well. And that's part of being a good team, is that, you know, through the course of a season in the SEC, you're going to have guys that are in and out of the lineup. You need to have the next one in ready and ready to hold the standards of the unit, and I feel good that we do that.
What's the challenge? You sort of touched on it on your opening comments, but of facing that mobile quarterback for a defense?
Well, just there's so many ways that, you know, I think when you talk about design runs for the quarterback, so like
specifically,
yeah.
that Alcorn State's quarterback, the mobile quarterback.
So they'll design runs for him whether it's zone reads or like the Q power read plays that we see a bunch of that Virginia Tech ran some too. You know, they'll do that with him. Those split box runs where there's a traditional run game on one side and a quarterback run on the other. We'll see that. But I think specific to their style, they can create and move in the pocket. And so the challenge becomes, how do you account for that? You know, obviously that starts with collapsing a cage and a pass rush that closes seams down. And then it becomes twofold. One, having someone that's going to contain the quarterback as a secondary responsibility, and then plastering coverage. Because the concern is when a quarterback breaks pocket, if you have 6 guys running after him, there are 6 guys open on the field, you know, and so that's how explosive plays can happen. I think it's critical that we force them to go on methodical drives, and we force them to execute. And certainly the way those guys play, they can end the drive in one snap by putting the ball up to an open receiver. They're skilled enough to do that, and the quarterbacks have the arm strength and the awareness to do it too. So that's the challenge. Just like any time that you're defending a team with a good quarterback and mobile quarterbacks, it takes all 11 guys. So that's what we're preaching now. That's what we're training, and that's what we'll be ready to do.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.